after the Olympics, they kind of like realized that they could hide things in the mountains, taking it after what North Korea was doing, and North Korea's gone finally.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, they sunk themselves into the ocean on accident.
Oh, it's sort of like Atlantis.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
it was
good.
lost
And
country.
South Korea just sort of float off or something?
Yeah, South Korea stayed perfectly same, and it's actually the same as it is today in the future.
But it's kind of like an island now.
Yeah, but they're a lot happier.
Okay, well, good. Good for them. Good for them.
It's good to be a time traveler.
Yeah, it is. So how do you actually travel? How do you go through time?
I can't tell you that.
Why not?
Top secret government information.
Oh.
If I was to leak that, people would know, and then everybody would be time traveling, and we can't have that. Especially on National Pretend It's a Time Traveler Day, because this is the only day I can be who I really am.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, anyway, I'm your always live somewhere in the space-time continuum host, Tom, and with me is the Lost in Time co-host, Raven.
Yeah, I'm a little lost.
I believe it, no
problem. If anybody is from the year 2286 and they're in the vicinity of the, of at least 5 years, please hit me up. I'd like to go home.
Oh, you're kind of stuck here.
Yeah, I miss my fish cat dog.
Fish cat dog?
Yeah. Because when Brazil takes over the world, China is allowed to start doing more genetic experiments, and I have a really cool pet.
So it's like the China becomes the island of Dr. Moreau?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's kind of weird. And somewhere outside, chasing snowflakes in a potential blizzard, is the unpaid intern Phoenix.
Hopefully she stays away from the road, because... Oh, wait, what? 50 car pileup? 75 car pileup, wasn't it?
I think there were some cars that were sandwiched underneath other cars, and by the time they got the cars on top off, they found more cars.
How does that happen?
Yeah,
it was only one snowflake.
Well, that's the way drivers are in Ohio. As soon as that first snowflake hits the windshield, people forget how to drive. They start crashing. It's carnage everywhere, massive chaos.
There was a man on fire, wasn't there?
No doubt about it. Jeez, and people, there's a run on the store, so, try to get, bread, milk, water, or
milk
beer.
And eggs.
It's all gone. People panic. Just from a few snowflakes. So, it's weird. So, we don't get caught up into that.
Yeah, we're smarter than that.
Yeah, we're smarter than the average bear here. Well, we do have a great show planned for you tonight, as we do every show. So sit back, relax, and allow me to be your guide into the familiar unknown.
Music.
Skeptics say the thing song. Yes, it's the Skeptics say the thing song.
Okay, Tom.
Welcome back, Ghost fans. To those of you new to our show, let me tell you who we are at the Skeptic Sanctum. We might be a group of people that may or may not live in a dark basement full of enchanted items needed to destroy any kind of evil mythological monster or demon should they rise up against humanity. Or we are just a team of individuals interested in the paranormal and the supernatural who simply want to believe, but we also want proof. And of course, we want the facts. Facts are important. And now for the format of our show. Because we are not your normal paranormal show. It is our goal at the Skeptic Sanctum to take you, the paranormal fans, the ghost hunters, the supernatural skeptics, conspiracy theorists, Bigfoot hunters, Loch Ness monster investigators, on a humorous yet informational ride through the paranormal genre. And our formula is simple. We are 25% facts, 25% fun, 25% beer, because that is what keeps me in the chair, and we're 25% stuff we make up as we go along, just to keep things going. And Raven, guess what?
What?
I got you $1.
You did?
Woohoo! No, we're there. Oh, gotta be quicker than that.
I'm gonna catch that dollar
No,
and
you're
your
not.
commercial copyright infringement.
And since it's been 30 years since the release of the iconic time-traveling movie Back to the Future, we at the Skeptics Sanctum always give you, the ghost fans, supernatural skeptics, paranormal pundits, ectoplasm collectors, and whomever, and fun. So, now for tonight's live show. And yes, Raven, we are live yet again.
We are?
We are always live, somewhere in the space-time continuum,
Yes.
especially tonight.
Yes.
And possibly, if we play this broadcast in the future, we'll be live then too.
Nice.
And probably live in the past somewhere, who knows.
Yeah.
Well, the things that we did record in the past, we did them in the past, but we were live then, but not now. But we play them again, then we're live again. So wherever we are, we're live somewhere.
Yes.
So, on the show tonight, should be fun.
Yes.
We have a unique guest,
Yes.
not so much related to the paranormal,
Yes.
maybe a little bit. But I guess he streams YouTube videos,
Yes.
and I guess pretty much shares world happenings. And we were able to watch some of it, such as the Greek riots. That was a lot of fun when Obama was over there in Greece and the people were rioting. And I guess, you know, what we didn't see on American television, they were actually rioting against him.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were rioting against Obama because, well, here's the thing about Greeks is that they will riot about anything. They are actually professional rioters.
Pretty much, they are, yeah.
Remember, we lived in Turkey for 4 years. We also know that Turks are professional rioters.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, they get children out in the streets with rocks, and they are throwing the rocks at tanks.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, Europeans are hardcore, and they know what they're doing, and if there's any reason to go and take all the chairs out of the little tea shops, they will.
And they do, and that's why they have crappy chairs in a lot of those cafes and bistros, because, you know, they get burned in you know, street fires and, you know, thrown at police for some reason.
Yeah. And so they also just they have to they were also pretty mad because here's something is Obama supported Greece joining the EU.
Mm-hmm.
And when Greece, the people were like, we really don't think this is a good idea, and due to them joining the EU, their economy, which has always been shit, is even shittier. But if they were to leave the EU, they couldn't deal with the threatened sanctions that Obama had threatened against Greece if they leave.
Right, and you know, and Greece has some internal issues along with that because, you know, they have a massive social welfare program that is unsustainable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody gets a pension and everything, and that's partly to blame why their economy is, you know,
I mean, it's a nice
shambles.
prospect, but they don't have enough young people to keep it.
Right.
And I mean, that's an issue that Italy is facing
and
too.
they have high unemployment, so not a lot of people are working, so they don't have the tax revenues coming in, and you know, it's a sad state of affairs that they have, and it's going to take a lot for them to get out of that mess.
Yes.
Well, anyway, so you know, we watched that, and he also streams political activities like congressional hearings.
Yes.
Which, you know, it can be kind of fun and interesting. So we want to welcome to the show Jonathan Schwartz. So wearing the pink fuzzy bunny slippers while sitting in the comfy chair. Welcome to the show, Jonathan. Are you comfy?
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Can you hear him?
Are you with us?
Yes.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you on. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Now, what exactly is a YouTube streamer?
Well, I don't really know how to categorize. There's so many. Some YouTubers like to stream video games. Some stream nonsense. I happen to stream political stuff, which, you know, I don't know if it was helpful. It was kind of just like a thing that I started with. I ended up streaming the night of the election, and that was actually really interesting. I'm getting a little reverb in my head, so
Yep.
I don't know if we're, but on on the night of the election, I decided, hey, I'm gonna just download a stream program and see where this goes. And I started streaming just coverage of the election, and it started out with like 3 people. It started to grow, and I had a little bit of like 25 people maybe, and it ended up turning into a 21-hour stream, and at the peak I had about 35,000 people watching the stream.
Oh
on
my
the
gosh, that's
on,
amazing.
yeah, it was pretty wild. I think what happened was around prime time, 7:30 Pacific, people started to see that Trump was actually winning, and they wanted to see it. So I had people from around the world, and I had, it was about 8,000 people, and then it just started jumping in increments of
Did you
5,000 a minute.
expect it? What were you expecting when you went in? Like, you had 10, you would have 10 people watching, and all of a sudden you had 35,000.
Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect. I was just trying something different, and I actually started it from the premise that I downloaded, or I bought Battlefield 1, and I wanted to start streaming like games live on Twitch.
Right.
And I said, you know what, let's just test this out. I had no idea that it was going to blow up the way it did, and it was pretty cool. So a real good friend of mine, he goes by the name of Amicus Humani Generis, is he's been a longtime friend of mine, and he said, hey man, I posted some Trey Gowdy videos and they're exploding. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? Like, he's like, no, like you really need to check this out. Like, I put these videos up and I'm actually like ending up making money off this stuff. I'm like, you're kidding me. And yeah, so I mean, if you guys haven't heard of Amicus Humani Generis, he was the guy who kind of dubbed and coined Trey Gowdy. Like, I think it was Trey Gowdy shocks the media and walks off like a boss. It's like the first thing that pops up when you type in Trey Gowdy on Google. So yeah, he kind of got me
Wow.
into it. Yeah, and I started streaming, and I kind of
Yeah.
got like a following, but politics wasn't really my go-to first thing on what I wanted to do on YouTube. So it was.
Well, you want to do games, and all of a sudden now you're a political streamer. Now, do you side, with the conservatives or liberals or whatever is just in the news?
I'm a registered party undecided, so I guess I'm like a swing. I kind of go with whatever's honest and true in the moment. So
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
stay unbiased.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important. You're almost being like a journalist that, we don't have anymore. The way the mainstream media was with this last presidential election, it was, obvious bias, but you're just showing raw footage. You're streaming just things happening as they happen.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's really cool to do that. So whatever's hot in the news, you're going to try to find. Now, where do you get your streams from? Like, for instance, the Greek riots. I know you didn't set up a camera. You didn't fly over to Greece and set up a camera. So
You're right. Yeah. There's some research. You got to get into weird parts of the web, but you will always find somebody streaming something somewhere.
yeah,
And what I've realized is, I get some people, you can't please everybody. That's the reality. And when I started, I was trying to be that number one people pleaser, and my fans are hating on me, but the fact of the matter was I couldn't please everybody, and there's always going to be a hater. So I just try, and what I do is I create a platform or a forum where I take, if somebody's streaming something in Greece and only 12 people are seeing it, and I'm able to rechannel that and open it up to a whole nother audience, everybody's getting the same coverage just through different channels. And I think that
Right.
spreading that kind of awareness is you talk about journalism, and some people are saying like journalism is dead. mainstream media is dead because of the bias. And from what I've kind of seen is people want to see as it's happening, the live raw footage, and so if I can rechannel whatever's going on in the world, in the news, to a forum that's easier for people to access, I'm all for it.
Right. And I agree with that because, as stuff is happening live, you're less likely to get, people putting their spins on it. In the mainstream media, whether you're watching Fox or MSNBC or CNN, they bring in their so-called experts, and that's in air quotes, and all these people are people that's been hanging around Washington for, God knows how many years, that they used to work in that industry, and they're giving their opinions on stuff. To me, that's not news. That's not the way the nightly news was when Walter Cronkite was on, the voice of reason, and everybody trusted the guy. He said the news, and he let people make their own decisions. I kind of think that's what you're trying to do. In some way, just showing the stuff as it's happening. Giving people, hey, you watch this and make your own, decision on, what's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent.
I think that's a good way to put it. Like I said, I originally started it with no expectations, and
yeah.
What ended up, I have a background in political science. I've always really been interested in politics and went to school for that.
Right.
And the one thing that, I live in Los Angeles, and there's been a lot of controversy lately about, cops shooting. We're in a weird time where I'm not sure what is politically correct to say. I don't know if using the word black is okay anymore. Or you got to use African American. Like, somebody's going to get upset somewhere. So I just say, cops are shooting black people. And people are rioting over cops being racist. I live in how white people are.
We understand totally, because we've had our instances in Cleveland too. We had the young teenager that got shot by cops, and they were pretty much let off. So but there were no riots here. We had our protests and everything, but didn't the riots like Ferguson or anything like that.
Yeah, and so what I ended up running into was this platform where people were actually getting involved, but getting steered in the wrong direction by mainstream media. I believe
Right.
It was in St. Louis. The cops had a warrant to serve, and they went in and they ended up shooting a gang member, and that was covered all over the news, and people were rioting. But a couple days prior to that, a gang did a drive-by shooting on the wrong house and killed a innocent girl who was doing her homework on her second day of school. She just started school, and she's in her house doing homework, and she gets hit by a stray bullet because these gang members, shot up the wrong house, and that wasn't covered. So there's
No, it's not.
it's crazy, and so what I'm trying to do is, by showing the congressional hearings, I feel that's coming straight from the source. Mainstream media
Right.
can spin it however they want. Oh, we'll use John McCain because he's like a total Republican, but they can spin it into a negative thing. But he also can say a lot of good things, or Mitt Romney, and basically, if the people are able to see what happens in that congressional hearing and seeing the politicians getting roasted and being held accountable by Congress, who is our last line of defense as Americans, because people don't understand. I think lately, up until recently, Congress has had a bad reputation because we hear from the president
for the last 30 years.
Yeah, the president saying, "Oh, we can't get anything passed. We can't get anything passed," and really, Congress works for the people, and the House of Representatives is the people's house because it's the closest to the people you can get. And I think
Yep.
by the public seeing these political figures in Congress backing the people is really inspiring to the people to make them feel that government that America isn't ran. It's not the government for the people. Like I think I said this the other day. I don't even know if I can quote myself again, but the government works for the people by the people, not the government
Yes.
is working for the people for themselves in a sense. And everything's backwards. So I think that what'll happen is the more awareness, and I think that there's a movement going where America, genuine Americans are starting to see that they will be okay, and that we do have a last line of defense, and we do have people sticking up for what we believe in, and keeping these government officials accountable. That's
Yeah.
my point. That's what I'm trying to help
Yeah.
convey.
Okay. Well, not to make this a political show, which we try not to be, at all. You're absolutely right, and I think there's some things that can be done, but career politicians, and you bring up John McCain as a good example. I mean, my God, he's been in Congress forever. I mean, sometimes these guys need to go.
Well, you also have to think about how. I mean, you're a veteran and you've been to the VA and everything.
Yeah.
John McCain supported cutting money to the VA.
Yes.
And he said that the VA system was fun, and it had too much money.
Yeah, no, the VA system is not fine. It's fine for some things, but not for everything. And that's just from my personal experience in dealing with the VA. So, some of the horror stories, that came out of Arizona, with people dying and waiting to get appointments. Yeah, that did happen. Was it mismanagement at that particular facility? Probably. Maybe they didn't have enough money, but that's in McCain's home state.
Right.
That's a travesty.
Right.
It shouldn't happen.
And and this is like on all sides of the aisle is also lobbyists.
Oh yeah, they play a big part
In
too.
the dog years, and Congress is for the people, of course, but you also have to take a look at how many dog ears each person, each person, Senate and Congress each add dog ears to legislation, and you have to find out.
Dog years?
Well, dog ears, the pet projects, the pork projects.
Okay.
Whenever I was taking street law, they were calling them dog ears.
Okay.
And because it was like a little, how you dog ear bookmark in a book.
Yeah.
And they would all add their own little pork projects
Well,
to legislation.
yeah, you take a bill that's supposed to be for this, and then you have somebody that wants to build a bridge to nowhere,
Or they
they
wanna
add it to it,
Build an airport.
and somebody wants to use that same bill to, restrict funding from Planned Parenthood. That says, okay, well, the president gives, I'm going to veto this bill for orphans, and that's all the media will say, but they didn't say that all this other crap was in it.
Right, and
Yeah.
so that's something is some of the things that would actually be very progressive for the United States to make us a more accepting and wholesome nation have been vetoed or they didn't make it through Congress.
Yeah.
Is simply because of the pork
Yeah,
projects that are in it.
the writer bills and stuff. But anyway, so about that. So that's great. But another reason we brought you on the show today, talk about some conspiracy theories. So you don't stream this stuff.
I should.
But it's I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think that would be awesome. But for what you're trying to do, you're trying to stream events that are happening live. So what is your take on all the fake news? This will lead into our first conspiracy.
Well, I think I know where you're going with this one. Fake news is dangerous because in conspiracy, especially with social media, this is just my opinion. Is it real or is it fake? I mean, that's the big question. Are there truth behind some of it, or does it get carried away and with social media and all these YouTube videos? Is it getting blown out of proportion to people are apparently taking it so seriously to go into this pizza parlor and start shooting.
Pizzagate, yeah, it's one of the big hot fake news items. But even when you look at that, I mean, it's not that it's evidence, but there's a lot of connecting of the dots.
Red strings?
Red strings.
There are a lot of red strings, red herrings.
Yeah. So that is like, wow, you put all this stuff together and like, oh my gosh, is there really a correlation here, or is all that stuff just made up too?
Right. And I think that's I'm actually live streaming this, and some of my viewers are saying if it is a conspiracy, Pizzagate isn't a conspiracy. It's all about who labels a conspiracy, and I think it brings up a good point on all fronts. It's there are things that are pointing to a direction, but there's not enough. There's not enough tangible evidence to really connect the dots fully. It's like a dotted line, not a straight connection.
There's not enough sausage on the pizza.
Yes.
Oh my God, we had to go there.
We went there.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I agree with that. I mean, what do we do? And I think another one, that was it fake news or not, I don't know, was the and I'm going to pick on the Hillary campaign a little bit, as far the movie that D'Souza put out about the Clinton money trail. That it seemed like every time they met with somebody, a big donation was made to the Clinton Foundation, and they got an audience with either the president or Secretary of State.
Or they bought our plutonium reservation.
I mean, is this fake news, or is this is there some truth there? Is it just a total conspiracy? I don't know.
Is his basement a fire hazard because of all the red string?
Oh God. So I mean, yeah, it's pretty incredible, because I think, and I know this isn't a political show, but I do believe like what we're talking about does have a lot to tie in with transparency within the government, and
Right.
I think that we're slowly moving into that direction, where I think if this is a topic that we could push to enhance that transparency, because if we're
Right.
getting into these fake news categories but no clarity on if it's true or if it's not, because there is so much stuff that is covered and in secrecy. If it was transparent, there would be a source to discredit this and say, look, we're going to investigate this, and actually like the people believing that investigation won't be corrupted.
Okay, we actually have a comment from chat, and give me a minute because I suck at pronouncing names. So, Shokari Afni, if I slaughtered your name, I'm really, really sorry. But okay, the comment actually, I like this. It's, what happens if we discover at the end of all of this that Hillary is actually doing all of this with honestly good intentions?
It's quite possible.
Oh wait, what if she did sell our plutonium?
Yeah, no, there's no good intentions there other than
It's
stupid
Russia.
and being stupid.
But okay, so what? Okay, let's just say, what if she did sell those to Russia, in order so Russia would start like mass producing nukes again? Okay, and then the UN goes, Russia, what the fuck?
Can't say fuck on the radio.
Shit.
Okay, stop it. Anyway, I mean, see, we take this and we go into another conspiracy.
Well,
it never ends.
Well, here's the thing. I know a little bit about that, and the whole thing was that Hillary didn't necessarily call up. Let's just use this because this is not accurate at all, but I'm just using this for context purposes.
Yeah,
Hillary
that's fine.
calls up Vladimir Putin and says, "Hey, you want to buy some nukes?" Like, that's not how it went down. Like, it didn't work like that, But what ended up happening?
No, he called Clinton and said, "I want to buy some nukes." No.
Yeah, right.
It was the other way around.
I can't.
Russian plutonium is crap. I need some good American plutonium.
Right.
There you go.
And this goes
Anyway.
actually back to I believe NAFTA, with Bill Clinton and overseas,
Yeah.
and it comes to Kazakhstan or Kazakhstan, where we have a uranium mine that was our 50%, I believe, our uranium supply line, and a Canadian investor who worked closely to the Clinton Foundation ended up selling his company, a Canadian company, to a man, and it turned into a company called Uranium One. And what ended up happening is he wanted to sell his company, Uranium One, who was bought out by the Russians, and through a donation through the Clinton Foundation of $250,000, the State Department has to sign off on natural resources to other countries, which that's where people say, like, oh, because she signed off on it, she openly sold this to, Russia.
Right. Exactly. And that's where we get into the bias of the media, or even in the in the opposing political party, saying, hey, you did this, and this is what it appears to do. This is what you ultimately did. So that happens.
Right.
The Democrats do it to the Republicans. Republicans do it to the Democrats. And that's just the way it is. That they're going to pick and choose, what they say and take everything else out of context.
Yeah, the Uranium One thing, it does bring up some red flags, because one of two things happened. Either Hillary just, wasn't paying attention, as it seems like she did a lot of as Secretary of State, or there...
Oh, yeah.
It's just negligent, and here this woman was trying to be the President of the United States, which, I don't know, it just...
being a 28-year Air Force member, active duty, now retired from the Air Force, having worked in, I'll say, the secret world, where I had classified and sensitive information and secret computers and non-secret computers, again, was all that stuff just a conspiracy theory? Was it fake news? As far as, the private email server, was it blown out of proportion? All I can say is, if I had taken a classified email and, hey, I need to send this to so-and-so, so I'm going to strip off the thing that says secret and put on a floppy disk and put it on this other computer and send it to somebody else because they need the information, I probably would have lost my security clearance and possibly even went to jail if I did it one time and got caught.
Right.
That's just me. But, what was that thing? Was it, was she naive? Was it negligence? I don't think she purposely did it. Maybe for convenience. I think she had good intentions, but like, oh my God, we come out and there's like thousands of these instances. I went, holy crap. But I don't think that was a showstopper for the election. I don't think the normal population even considered that an issue.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's...
Anyway, so we have these fake news things. We had some conspiracies, and I know Raven and you were talking before the show, last week and stuff, about some other bigger conspiracies that are out there.
Yes. They stem from both like George Soros and like the Warren Buffett stocks. And both one of them is like one's kind of dark, and the other one's just like Warren Buffett. So, do you know anything about either of these, Tom?
I like Warren Buffett's music. Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you know he has
No, Berkshire Hathaway. So I know he's got some really good stocks.
Yeah, and and apparently though, if you watch where he buys his stocks, when he buys and sells,
Yeah.
that you can kind of figure out what's going to be happening tomorrow.
It's possible. He's been an investor. He's a billionaire and well respected and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and so Jonathan and I, we had a nice long conversation about well, that's not. I don't, Jonathan, you said you didn't know too much about Warren Buffett, right?
I know a little bit.
Okay, because I couldn't remember what topic it was that I had brought up, and you were like, not too sure about that. But I was like, we're comedy; it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's just like from my understanding, like I know he didn't buy a lot of train track, and he didn't buy up into the company that was trying to do the pipeline. That there also that conspiracy right now too, the North Dakota pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns out that pipeline was supposed to go over the river before it got to the reservation. It was supposed to go through over Bismuth, which is a 95% white community. And they said no, so they decided to put it over the freshwater thing that feeds into the Native American land. Now, people were speculating that if a bunch of railroad track and rail lines was getting bought up, that the Dakota pipeline would go through. But it didn't, and he didn't buy the track.
Right.
So I'm like, when did people start realizing that he kind of had that kind of foresight into current events?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know? Do you have any idea, Jonathan, or did just people just start going like, man, he makes a lot of money?
I wasn't even paying attention to that. I am talking to some of my viewers, and they're trying to figure out getting into the live stream. But so your question to me was the Warren Buffett buying the train tracks and people's response to that?
Yeah, like people were saying that if Warren Buffett started buying like stocks into the oil company, into the energy company, and started buying railroad tracks, that the Dakota pipeline was going to pass.
Ooh, so now we're getting into like George Soros territory. Well,
right, like apparently when you do start looking into like stock stuff, like stock predictions on world events, both of them come up. But
yeah.
It seems like Warren Buffett's more of an observer, while George Soros decides to go in and personally affect things.
Yeah, I think that's for Warren Buffett's. I'll go stand on his side, where I believe that he actually has intentions of, from a business standpoint of, okay, there's a big pipeline going in. I want to be part of that to get the money out of it, regardless of what the government's going to do with the pipeline or whatever. I think the intent was not malicious. I think it was more so just like a business play, as if he's got the money and industry, there's a lot of, surplus train track, and he can move that industry or industrial merchant stockpile into a different resource and put it into play. I think that is, in a sense, from a business perspective, a good move. But at the same time, like, morality doesn't always come into business decisions. So
that's true. And so that leads us to George Soros. Since you bring up morality. Now, I hear about this guy, and to me, he just seems, and I haven't done a lot of research, I'll be honest, but he seems like he's like the evil empire from Star Wars. He's the emperor. I mean, he tries to get his fingers into everything, and using his vast money to, like Raven was saying, affect things, whether through political action or civil discourse.
Well, is that a question to me, or is that kind of like?
Well, I guess. I think it's just like an observation that I had. I mean, every time I've heard this guy talk, he's like, oh my God, this guy is, is scary.
He is scary. I think I posted a video. You want to talk about conspiracy theory? I ended up posting some videos that basically got me into some trouble.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, I had to dispute a copyright strike on something that wasn't a copyright, but just because people are trying to get, I think this is my conspiracy, which is it having to do with Martin Scorsese. I posted a captured video of this guy getting drunk and going on Periscope and talking like an a-hole, talking about New York is my city, and if you wanna, nobody's gonna, cut me down. The only way to cut me down is gun me down. You better bring your AK, and then he starts playing with his cat. It's just, and I don't know if he knew that he was streaming that and that got captured, but I reposted that in correlation to Martin Scorsese in front of Congress pleading the Fifth, and after that my Google account got a malicious attack where my account was suspended because of a hack, and then I got this copyright strike that I've got lawyers working on, like, so I don't know if my account's gonna get shut down or whatever, but so this it's scary. I try to bring this news to the public, which is real stuff, but it has repercussions. It's dangerous.
Well, what's really funny is that, we wanted to have you on last week, but Tom and Phoenix were out at the they were doing some errands, and they get rear-ended, and after Phoenix gets off the phone with me saying that they'd been in the accident, all I could think to myself, and anytime there's a stressful situation, I instantly start cracking jokes. Like, Tom was having a stroke this time last year, and all I could do was call him a whiny man baby because, he's like, I don't feel so good, I gotta go to the doctor, and it's just, man up, Dad. But, all I could think of was like, oh man, George Soros knew we were going to be talking shit about him, so he set a hit out on my family.
Last time Brittany tried to be on the show, she was kidnapped by the Illuminati.
And we have a psychic down in
Kentucky
that, we try to have on the show, and every time she's going to come on and talk shit about the Illuminati, she can't make it. So it's just like, I'm like, we don't have a big listener fan base, but I mean, I guess it's big enough that, people are putting hits out on our guests and family.
Hey, I get death threats all the time.
Wow, way to go.
Join the club.
Yeah.
You made the big time then. Congratulations.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
yeah, also, Shikori Afni also has made another comment.
Okay.
It's a lengthy one, so bear with me. I think he makes so much money. I think this is about George Soros, not Warren Buffett. I think he makes so much money that he doesn't give a blank. He might have been asked a favor. Parentheses. He might take a stand on a few political issues. End parentheses. But at the end of the day, he doesn't want to waste his time on this. Think about it. If you were as rich as this old man, would you get yourself in all of this? I personally think he only does it for business reasons to make a bit more profit. Conspiracies just bring it to the next level. I think it's counterproductive to demonize these people.
Yeah, possibly.
But demonizing is fun.
Yeah, it is. It's fun, and he's just a rich, wealthy guy. who's playing both sides of the fence.
Yes. Like, it's easy. It's actually really easy to demonize people that you can't see in person who are a level above you, anyways. Because you're not there, you can't see them, you can't pick their brains. Them what the heck is going on in there. And even though it's like, it's really easy to go, oh, well, they're probably just trying to make sure they get the most profit imaginable. That's really easy to do, but it's more fun to go, hey, so like they're doing this, they're funding both the left and the right side of this political issue, but suddenly they stopped putting money into the left side of the issue. Holy cow, the left side is losing. Okay, so this means that they completely were just pretending to help them out.
Well, a lot of business people have done that in the past. I mean, that donate to both parties. They want that leverage, either in Congress or the White House or wherever. So Donald Trump himself said that when he was in business, he donated to both parties.
There was a there was a saying back in the day when ships were made out of wood and sunk a lot, is that rats would flee a sinking ship, and if the rats were, if you could actually see the rats leaving your ship, it meant you've got a hole somewhere or the wood was rotting in a bad place, and so we don't have that issue anymore. So, but I think the rats stopped being rats and turned into stockbrokers. Because they do the same thing. I mean, take a look at Martha Stewart and her inside trading.
Yeah.
She got the information illegally, but did the right business move. And she went to jail for it, but rats flee a sinking ship.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right analogy actually, but I understand. And also, we got people in Congress that they're trading all the time, but they're exempt.
Yes.
And that happens on both parties. So I mean, it's they're exempt, that they can create laws that will benefit themselves.
When you start looking at the shadiness of American politics, it stops being an issue of Democrats, Republicans. It starts just being a general politician issue, because both sides are equally corrupt.
Yeah, but I'd still take our form of government over Turkey.
Yes.
Because the military is a branch of the government, and if they don't like the government, they'll just do a coup. Which they some parts of it try to do a coup, but that didn't work out.
It is actually widely believed by the Turkish population that that was a complete setup. That because the generals that were apparently involved in the coup were not involved in the coup. This is a conspiracy coming out of Turkey that it was set up by the current Erdogan, by the current government, because he knew that he was getting very left. I mean, he was getting very right, almost Shia-like in Sharia law supporting in his political stance. And the checks and balances of the Turkish government is, if that starts happening, the military is supposed to come in and say no. And it is believed that this was all set up by the current political administration to remove the figures of the military that would actually do a real coup, because if they were going to do a real coup, if the military was to do that, they would have won.
Oh, they always do.
It is extremely shady that they didn't win, and how it was handled, and how the government was going through and taking down all the news outlets. All the news right now in Turkey is state ran. It was not like that
when we were there.
It wasn't like that when we were there. No. Once the news becomes state ran, the country is no longer free.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, did you know anything about what was going on in Turkey, Jonathan? I lost
Well, no, I'm here. I just mute the mic when I'm not talking. Turkey, as far as the politics and what's going on in there, not really, not really.
Because I mean that was something is like I couldn't find anything about like George Soros being involved there, but it would actually be pretty funny if he was involved there. Because I mean, like I remember whenever we were watching the Portland protests and people were bringing up the paid protesters and about how he's almost always involved with that. And like I mean, paid protesters have been around a lot longer than he's been in business. Um, my family, my mom's side of the family, we're Akron, Ohio, where Firestone Tires used to have its headquarters, factory, facilities. And whenever the union riots were going on, paid protesters were brought in who had nothing. None of them were even from Ohio, and they were there to to cause trouble. And the workers would fight them.
Yeah, a lot of them are communists.
Yeah, and they weren't really like Russian communists. It was just a bunch of young people who read books and thought they were making the right choices when in actuality they were just kind of like stopping people from working.
Yeah, it happens.
But paid protesters have been around a lot longer than George Soros, and I don't think that like with any of the protesters that were causing riots in Oakland and Portland, I don't think any of those were getting George Soros' money, despite what commenters were saying.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you really want to get conspiracy, I don't think George Soros is technically paying anybody. I think George Soros pays somebody to pay somebody to pay somebody. So I don't think there's any way to really link them other than like who's got the most money and who's behind all of it. And I think that's where everybody just defaults.
Yeah. All their shadow companies and things like that. Yeah, it happens. But when you're as rich as some of these guys, okay, what you gonna do?
All right. Chikori Afni he has a question for all of us. He wants to know, how do you guys see the religious shift in Donald Trump's speeches by the end of his campaign?
A religious shift.
Well, whenever he started his campaign, he seemed a little bit like a little bit more Christian, but now he's more he's agnostic, and that's actually very common in businessmen. They I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that Donald Trump is an atheist. But I have to say though that I do know like his stances on a few religious issues is he wants churches to be able to discuss politics inside their church without getting fined.
Right.
And in accordance to the current administration, our current president was seeing a church where the pastor was was talking politics and he was not fined for it.
Right.
And so you also have to think about those double standards. But a more conservative church will get in trouble. But the problem is that some conservative churches do cater towards KKK neo-Nazism. But I know you're giving me a look, but
what church is that?
A few of them in Montana, but we don't talk about Montana.
No, so those are radical churches anyway, and they don't deserve that connotation of being a church. If they're harboring, those type of things. Now, going back to Donald Trump, how's he going to do? Like anybody, and he's not a politician, but he is now, they are going to take a more conciliatory tone usually to appease more people. So I think through his actions, he will still, appease the religious right or the evangelicals that voted for him. But I also think he may tone down, the.
Well, see, that's what Mike Pence is. That's what Mike Pence is for, because, or whoever. Who did he pick for his VP? I don't even.
It's Mike Pence.
Yeah, it is Mike Pence. You were giving me that look, so I thought I said the wrong name, and I was like, I'm gonna beat you up. That's why he picked Mike Pence, because Mike Pence is, Like, he's the kind of religious guy I wouldn't want to hang out with.
Oh God, that's
So only time will tell what Trump will do, but we'll have to wait and see as far as that goes. But I think his policies, I think he'll still take some hard stands on some stuff, and give freedoms for churches. And he said he's going to bring the Christmas tree back instead of a holiday tree.
well, that'd be nice, I guess.
Well, when we
Yeah,
lived,
I guess. I don't know.
I'm gonna bring up how we lived in Turkey again. When we lived in Turkey, it's a Muslim country, but the funniest thing is that they celebrate Christmas. But they don't celebrate Jesus and all that stuff. They just celebrate the giving of gifts, because this is the best part about Turkey, is that like they were a couple years ago like party country. If there was a reason to get drunk and give out gifts, that's what they do. Like, they have like 6 holidays just dedicated to giving gifts to children, and they do big festivals and sacrifice goats and donate the dead goats to the poor
What?
people, so the poor people can eat. Okay, well, they don't really in Islam, they do like they still
A goat
It's like
slaughter?
Ramadan.
yeah.
It's
yeah.
religious.
Well,
Jeez.
the goats are really good tasting. So
I bet
I'm
PETA
okay
would
with
have a field day with that one, right?
I know. Well, nobody cares about PETA anyways. They support euthanizing my cats, and anybody that wants to euthanize my cats can go outside.
They don't want the cats to live free.
Yeah, no, they want to euthanize. If you have a domesticated animal, they believe that they need to be euthanized.
Oh, because they need to be free.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they actually have Christmas trees. The Turks actually get into like media wars with Greece over where Santa Claus was from. And well, we lived in Turkey, so we're biased. We're gonna say that Santa Claus is from
Not Santa Claus. Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas, which is the basis for Santa Claus, is from Turkey.
Well, it wasn't Turkey then, but
It was the Ottoman Empire. And they actually, you can go to like if you're outside, if you can go to the tourist areas and actually buy really nice handmade rugs that have Christmas designs on them all year long. And it's because that's one, because it's a tourist location, but two, they take a lot of pride in their history, and anything to also bash Greece.
Yeah.
And oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, have you guys ever heard of Christmas Pete?
Christmas Pete?
Yeah, you
No,
probably
what is
never heard of him
Christmas
because
Pete?
it was Santa's black slave. I'm serious.
Oh my God.
This is a real thing. People actually, black Santas are a actual real thing. You can look it up. It was Christmas Pete, but along the years they cut Pete out of the story, and because they were saying that it was racist, but Santa Claus had a slave. It's true. It's messed up,
Wow.
but it's true in the story. I mean, Santa Claus is real, but he's no
That's
longer a
disturbing.
racist. Yeah.
They turned, so instead of Pete, they gave him elves.
Yeah, and you
I've
ever
heard
notice
Spain
that
say he
all
was an
the
elf.
elves are white? They're always white.
Oh, and Bad Santa's one's not white.
Oh, jeez. Well,
Man, that's hilarious. I'll have to do some research on this.
That's funny.
Yeah.
anyways, I think I
Yeah,
steered this the wrong way.
Yeah, we did. I mean,
that's like borderline what we try not to talk about. But no, I mean, no, that's interesting to talk about, and actually, that actually raises a fair point in the realms of, we're gonna use decent, humane terms, but like there is a push right now to remove the N-word from To Kill a Mockingbird for children to read in school. I read the unedited version of To Kill a Mockingbird, the unabridged version of To Kill a Mockingbird, and they had the N-word in there. And when I was told this, so that they're pushing to remove the word from the book, all I could think about is that is what the whole book is about. The whole message of the book. And if you're a white person reading the book, if you're reading it out loud, you are not supposed to enjoy saying that word. It is supposed to be a struggle coming out of you.
Okay, now if we're going to take it out of that book, why don't we take it out of the entire music industry, especially, the rap
Right.
genre,
I mean,
and move it everywhere?
nobody in my English class, and this is, military-based English class, we have dozens of ethnicities in my class. Everybody understood the context of the book. Everybody passed that part of the thing because we were all kind of aware. We still had we did have some issues, but I think because we were all military brats, racism really wasn't so much of a problem for us.
No.
I mean, I can see it being an issue in Texas, but I mean, for us, it wasn't an issue. We understood what the word meant. We understood the context of the book, and I think we were all mature enough to understand what was being told to us. But I don't think I don't think the message of the book would have been as clear if they took out that word and replaced it with black person.
Yeah, true.
Well, I want to go back to something if I can. It was something
please, yeah.
that you had mentioned about Trump wanting to introduce politics into schools, and the only reason I want to go back to that is because I had a personal experience. Background of me is my mother was Christian, my father was a non-practicing Jew, and our Christmas tree had blue and white lights. And what ended up happening was I got sent to Catholic school. And we were required to take theology class. And
Right.
and I'm in a Notre Dame preparatory school, and they're trying to, and they're hardcore Catholics. I mean, hardcore.
Yeah.
And I'm in this class, and I'm just this child trying to learn about something I have to take a test on, but some of the things they were saying, I wasn't discrediting. I had questions for, and I would ask questions, and it was seen as I was debating them whether or not, some of these things were factual or not. And what it really played into was the fact of separation between church and state, which I believe is constitutional. So
Yeah.
what he's actually putting out there would be something that's not constitutional. So whether they're going to amend the Constitution, I would be surprised.
Well, I think it's not so much he wants to amend the Constitution. It's not so much like a pastor even dishing out BS on a politician. What happened that caught our attention was a church, the minister, before it was the Senate vote, wasn't it? He had given to his congregation his congregation. He gave to his congregation a sheet of paper that had that had the points for the local people that were running for political points. Somebody reported him, and he got in trouble for it. He wasn't being biased. In fact, I don't remember what to look up to find it to share with you, but there was no bias. He basically just copied and pasted from both their websites what their stands of view on different issues were, and gave that to his congregation, and was like, okay guys, when you vote, just vote educated. And and that's all he did. And somebody took beef with that. And I think there's a difference between him, somebody doing that, and then somebody going up to their podium and going, if you vote for this other person, you are not a member of this church because you are the devil. Whenever last year, apparently the world was supposed to end whenever Obama met with the Pope. There was this in Utah. There was this crazy Mormon minister who had out this video saying that Obama was going to get the Pope pregnant, and the Pope was going to give birth to the New World Order. And that right there, that is what should not be being talked about in a church. But just educating your congregation with a pamphlet on both sides of the issue, that is, that's different than condemning your followers for voting how they view is best.
I don't know. I spent a lot of
See
time.
how that plays out.
I just know I spent a lot of time in detention for asking questions. So, so I tried to stay out of it. Like, okay, you're punishing me. I'm curious. So I think you do bring up a great topic. It's one of the topics that will never end.
No,
Unfortunately, it's one of those things.
Yeah, because I mean, there really is no, there's no yes or no. That's like I talk with a lot of people every day about stuff like this. That there is no yes or no, and I'm at the point that there really is no black or white. Everything is a gray area. Somebody I knew was playing a Would You Ever with about 50 people, and everything they were just trying to get yes or no kind of would you ever's, like, if somebody was in the way of a fast moving vehicle, would you push them out of the way and take the blow, or just let them get hit by the car? And I'm just like, well, you could also just grab them and pull them away. There is no, there is multiple ways to approach every situation. It's just, the problem is that no matter how you do it, you're not going to make everyone happy.
So
there's always going to be somebody who's upset.
Speaking of like making people happy, so you know how they removed "Under God" in the national anthem, right?
Mhm.
Do you think that they're gonna take "In God We Trust" off all the currency, too? Are they gonna do that?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because, like, I'm agnostic in my belief, and that's even in, but Christianity is not the only people that believe in God, and the basis of America as a country was also founded on on religious freedom, and I just kind of think that, taking God out of the Pledge of Allegiance and removing it off the dollar bill kind of removes that historical value of the fundamental finding of America. And there are things I don't believe in. There's some things I don't honestly like, but I don't go out of my way to tell people to change. If somebody's dressed poorly, I don't go up to them and tell them, "Hey, you need to change your shirt because I think it's ugly." Yeah, if you're so offended by the word God on the dollar bill, or if you're so offended about the word God in the Pledge of Allegiance,
don't say it.
Yeah, just don't say it. And I also don't believe in persecuting people for not saying that single line.
Well,
if somebody doesn't want, if somebody's uncomfortable, just let them be.
Here's my opinion on it. If you're interested, I wish they would have
Yes.
asked me, because I have the solutions to everything, which would have been don't remove the word God, just add 2 periods and make it an acronym. So G period O period D. It could stand for good orderly direction, and as kids are growing up, they can understand, well, what is God? It's whatever you fundamentally believe is good orderly direction. That's just how I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
And it's, and this is a debate that's going to go on for a long time. And are they ever going to remove "In God We Trust" from our money? Yeah, I have no idea.
Would, like, if I turn in all my dollar bills, say they have it on them, would they give me $2 to turn them all in? Like, if I give them a dollar bill that says "In God We Trust" on it, would they give me $2 to turn it in?
No.
That's unfair.
Yeah.
That's unconstitutional. If I'm gonna take that extra move to the bank, they need to like give me gas money.
Oh yeah, it's not happening.
Pay me. I'm
Not
good with
happening.
it.
That's not happening. Not at all.
So I think we have touched inappropriately everything that we were going to.
Yeah, we don't talk about politics, but tonight.
Yeah, we did. We were all over the politics.
Yeah, we never do that. But it was fun. It was a nice change of pace.
But you know, it was also good politics. We weren't like hating on any one side.
No,
I mean,
no.
We hated a little bit on Hillary Clinton, but
Yeah.
but she kind of asked for it.
Yeah.
But we also made a little bit of fun of Trump, but we didn't make fun of his small hands.
No,
No, yeah,
not at
yeah,
all.
and man, you know, I like this Chikara Afni guy. He doesn't even know how he ended up here, but he doesn't even know us. And but you know, Chikari, you're like welcome to come back.
Usually we talk about ghost stuff.
Yeah.
Or conspiracy theories, or Bigfoot, or UFOs.
Yeah, but you know, and the Pope giving birth to the New World Order, aka Obama's Antichrist child.
Yeah.
But you know, that was a fun conspiracy theory.
You know, and we go back to American presidents. Every president since Ronald Reagan, and probably before, the opposite side always said that they were going to be the Antichrist.
Yes.
So I was like, okay. And if anybody complains that Donald Trump was Time's Person of the Year, oh, so was Stalin, Hitler, and whoever else. Well, so was Obama.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. No, they always pick every time George W. Bush was both times he won.
Yeah, and so was Mother Teresa. So I mean.
No, they pick the most influential person of the year. They don't pick the good. They don't pick the best person.
Right.
They don't always pick the nicest person. They pick the person
Exactly.
that took over the media waves.
Yeah.
So they're not like the best person of the year. This was the person that we talked about way too much.
The newsworthy person of the year.
Yeah.
And nobody was in the news more than him.
Yeah.
So
Self-inflicted, a lot of it.
About
Yes.
UFOs. Because
Sure.
I
love UFOs.
Oh yes.
have you ever seen one?
You know, I've seen something when I was a kid. It was like the long cigar-shaped thing. You know, it was just really weird.
Well, you must have been.
and-
You were probably just hanging out with Bill Clinton, but I mean, like in the sky.
It was definitely a cigar-shaped thing in the sky. And, we grew up in Northeast Ohio, so, it wasn't a blimp. We had the Goodyear blimps flying around all the time. This thing here was, long and slender. It was just weird.
That's what she said. Sorry, I had to.
That's funny.
No, the reason I bring it up is because it's a fundamental thing. I have never been abducted by aliens. I can tell you that much. But I did live in Phoenix, Arizona when the mass sighting was there. I remember I don't
So
know.
you saw it.
I was one of those spectators. I even have the address of where I was located, and they were like coming straight towards the house. But this thing spanned the entire city. It was pretty extraordinary. And what was really interesting is that Fife Symington, I believe, was the governor at the time, and he said when he was in office that they were flares, but when he was actually, when he was done with office, he came out on the media, mainstream media, and said, I know I said that when I was in office because I didn't want to like scare the shit out of people, but that was not flares. Sorry for the language, but I mean, he even says that he was a witness to this ginormous thing flying over, and he's like, it is not an airplane. So, is it real? What are they? I think Trey Gowdy's probably a shapeshifter, but he looks like he's on our side. You know, like
Yeah.
like what's really going on is the question.
On the topic of UFOs, like I've never seen one, but I'm not so. We are the Skeptics, Sanctum, but we're not so. We're not so skeptical to the fact that we're gonna ignore math. Yeah, that's actually Tom loves math. He lives, eats, breathes numbers. The mathematical probability of aliens being in space, it doesn't matter their level of intelligence. It's extremely
Life on other planets is entirely possible based on the billions of
right.
stars that are out there.
Statistically, yes.
Yeah.
The chances of them being here, not so high, but them coming to visit us, because we don't know where we are in the stance of the universe, in the beginning of the universe and the end of the universe. We don't know if we're at the edge of creation, or if we're in the middle, or if we're near the beginning. Like, we know that we know that the planet we are on is about 4 billion years old, and we know that the stars around us that are within 100 light years around us, they're all like 20 billion years old. And I think the grand total number that I have last seen is 100 billion or 400 billion years is the age of the universe that we know of.
Yeah.
And so that is how long it took us. 4 billion years is how long it took us to get to where we are today. What's the state of everybody that was near the center of the Big Bang, or whatever spawned the creation of the universe? Like, they're saying that the Big Bang is the most probable start of the universe, but nobody was there, so it's possible theory, 99% possible true theory. But again, we don't know for sure, and you've got to tack that on there, or you'll piss somebody off.
Yeah, true. Well, anyone, can aliens exist? And the probability says yes.
Mm-hmm.
Have they been here and visited us and probed us? Well, I don't know. I mean, we have Area 51 supposedly.
Yeah, Tom, sorry. Go ahead, Raven.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just we know of a man that actually he believes that the moon is hollow, and that there are aliens in a comatose state inside the moon, and they talk to him telepathically, and they've been visiting the Earth since the dinosaur era, and they take DNA from different things and combine it into their psyche, and they also they like humans because we have nice livers that they can take DNA from and put into their psyche.
Sorry, Jonathan, you were going to say?
Well, yeah, just changing gears a little bit, but still on the topic of like the universe. Tom, you said you're you're like a numbers guy, and I'm from my understanding, I believe it's the quantum theory of the Big Bang. It is very factual, like the numbers add up, but what the problem, I guess, that they've been seeing lately is that the numbers, the mathematical equation isn't coalescing with what they're seeing in the sky. So it's having them go backwards and saying, okay, if at this time this should be there, but it's not. So there was a gentleman, I saw a documentary not too long ago where they're actually starting to say, well, it's not exactly what we thought it used to be, and they might have to start restructuring it a little bit, because a lot of the times things line up, but then there are areas as they go back in time, like backwards to basically the start of the Big Bang, things are showing up differently than originally. Is that your understanding of it as well?
I think it is such. It's such an unknown. I mean, how do we really know until we can get boots on the ground? I mean,
Well, you also have to remember we've never really been able to observe two black holes colliding, and that actually just happened very recently. And we actually, like, our time, we slowed down for 12 seconds. And, we didn't feel we didn't feel the gravitational effect. Nobody knew what happened, but all the scientists that were watching that kind of stuff in their cozy chairs in front of their digital microscopes and telescopes all, were able to see the effect. So what might have happened is when those kind of events happen, it does mess up the math because we're not prepared for those kind of numbers yet. Like, we know we lost 12 seconds. We might have lost more than 12 seconds and not even realized it.
I don't know how people even know that.
True. I agree with you.
I've been trying to figure that out myself.
If time is a man-made concept and you just remove that concept and we're just therefore present, what did we lose? Consciousness?
Right. Well, apparently gravity works like this, is that if we were close to a black hole, time would be a lot slower because gravity affects time. So if time is a concept, it doesn't have any solid form. We can't touch it, we can't grasp it, but we experience it. And I don't know if if time is slow on Jupiter, where it has the highest gravitational density of any planet, and that's simply because it's a gaseous giant. But if we were like closer to the sun, would we age slower
Or faster.
Right.
Well, it's like this. We have a clock. It's a wind-up antique. And the pendulum in it needs to be adjusted for where you are in the world.
Yes.
Based on, I guess, gravity.
Yes.
We had to, adjust that thing and put the little metronome going so we get it down to the precise second.
Yes. Yeah, antique pendulum clocks, you do actually have to adjust them according to the gravitational location of where you are. So, like, if we were, like, in Hawaii or something, it would actually have to be a lot lighter because the gravitational pull in Hawaii is actually different than it is here.
Well, it's not heavier or lighter, it's length.
Yeah.
It's affecting the swing.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but yeah, what, did we really lose 12 seconds?
Yeah.
How do we know?
Yeah, how do we know? We don't.
Did we go back in time? Did we get those 12 seconds back? Did we go forward
We
in time?
are time travelers. Apparently.
Yes. So today actually is irrelevant. We didn't have to pretend to be time travelers for National Pretend You're a Time Traveler
Because
Day.
we're time travelers every day.
Yes.
Wow.
Only 12 seconds. We'll have to step that up the next time to maybe 3 black holes collide together, and then we'll go back to 1964 and watch JFK get assassinated and see what really happened.
Whoa. Where am I at? What?
Why is the whole world population here in Austin, Texas?
Why are all these guys wearing short hair? Wearing white shirts? Why are we thinking black and white?
Now
Father,
that
you're like
would be cool.
Kennedy died before I was born.
Oh, I
wasn't there.
I was like, no, it wasn't that. It was when did the world have color?
I don't know. I asked that question too when I was a kid.
Okay.
Because everything in black and white, Grandpa.
And then they beat you with a stick, right?
Yeah, they weren't in black and white.
It was like a real life Pleasantville.
Yes, absolutely. Man, we've been on here an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah, it was. It was fun. A bit, not our normal genre, but it was okay.
Hey, we talked about conspiracy theories that are
Little bit, yeah.
relevant
In UFOs.
and UFOs, and that's always relevant.
And you were witness to the UFO thing in Arizona, which was really cool.
That was intense. I'll tell you, I was little.
Now, what was the reaction of everybody else? You remember?
Oh, it was UFOs were real, and it was confirmed citywide. I mean, there was like 35,000 people that witnessed it, and I think it was one of the biggest sightings at history at the time. So it was a little interesting, a little scary, but people went on with life.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. Now, did we ever figure out what exactly it was?
No, they say that A-10 warthogs drop flares that suspended in air for an hour and a half, which
A lot of flares.
I don't know, but
I really didn't know that A-10s really drop flares.
I didn't know flares could be suspended in air.
Well, they can.
But like that?
Not for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're dropped high enough, they probably can.
I don't think flares burnt for an hour and a half.
Oh yeah. That's how you light up a battlefield at night.
Okay.
You drop these flares of parachutes. I saw them when I was stationed in Korea. They'd use them for their war games at night, and it would light up like, oh my god, this thing is like the sun.
Oh, those war games that always make North Korea threaten to bomb us? Okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be... wouldn't that be like the worst time to like actually start a war is when they're in the middle of practicing war games?
It would be, yeah. It definitely would be.
Because it's just like, okay, these idiots keep they keep practicing war games, and I keep telling
let's attack them while they're having their war game. No, let's attack them when they're cleaning up, and they're tired after a week of practicing, or a month, or whatever it was.
I think they'd be more willing to pull the trigger at that point.
Yeah, you never know. Well, Jonathan, I want to thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
I think it's something we need to try to do again, and we'll actually pick a conspiracy theory or UFOs and talk about it.
Yeah, I'd love it. Well, thanks for having me. I really had a lot of fun, so I appreciate it.
If you want to hang on just for a few minutes while we say some closing remarks,
absolutely,
we can chat a little bit afterwards. All right?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. We had a political show.
Yeah.
We never do that before.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a good political show. I think it was healthy.
Yeah, it was. We didn't bash on the Democrats or Republicans too much.
I hate both sides.
Equally.
Yeah.
They're both crooks.
Yeah.
You might be a political hack if you believe only one side.
Yeah.
Whether you're a conservative or a liberal.
Did you lose the ending comments?
No, of course not.
You lost the ending comments, didn't you?
I did not.
Okay, well, before we do the ending comments, I know there are people that are listening to us, even on through Mixler, that actually had never listened to us before.
No, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening. You can actually find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Skeptics Sanctum, and we get questions for people that are listening to us that have always listened to us but don't know how to get a hold of Jonathan.
And you can also find us on Twitter at Skeptics Sanctum.
Yes.
Just search Skeptics Sanctum. You'll be on Twitter. Follow us there. Follow us on Facebook. And, of course, the webpage, www.skepticsanctum.com.
All right, and also, Jonathan, just to let you know, because you are hanging onto the line, that you don't have a vanity URL yet set for your channel. Like, it's giving me all the weird mumbo.
Oh, I do actually. It's youtube.com/c/Jonathan Schwartz Live, and that's the direct link to my channel.
Okay, that's for the live ones. All right.
Well, no, that's just for my channel in general, whether I'm live or not. But that's my custom URL. So anything with that will direct you to my page.
Okay, because I was trying to go to, because on your channel page, it doesn't. It just has all the weird mumbo jumbo. The UCWLFGLCY 1Q9PYD OHFYN5-XPA.
Yeah, I don't know what YouTube's doing right now, but if you actually go and type in YouTube/C/Jonathan Schwartz Live, it directs you to the same page. So I don't know why it still does the mumbo jumbo, but YouTube/C for channel/Jonathan Schwartz Live will direct you to my page, and whether we're live or not, you will see all the good stuff there.
Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and pay our legal bill.
Yes, pay the legal bill.
The opinions and facts expressed on the Skeptics Sanctum may or not be factual, honest, truthful, or shared with anyone with any common sense. They may also not coincide with the beliefs, moral or otherwise, of the patriotic host, the Marxist capitalist co-host, the unpaid interns, or management. Whoever management is, still haven't figured that out. The Skeptic Sanctum also reserves the right to refuse service if you are not wearing pants. Tax, title, and license not included. Offers not valid in the District of Columbia, the province of Quebec, the principalities of the valleys of Andorra, the country of Spain, the state of Michigan, and most parts of western Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And so thank you so much for joining us tonight. Stay tuned, or not stay tuned, but tune in next week, Thursday, 9 o'clock, where we'll have another exciting guest.
Do we know who the guest is yet?
It's a surprise.
I like surprises.
Surprise guest.
Yes.
Gotta love them.
Yes. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Now we're going to, for everybody listening to the Mixer stream, play the